Welcome to the Break Podcast, a space for exchanging knowledge between members of the Break, a fellowship program for women entrepreneurs. In each episode, we'll explore the experiences, opinions, and of course, the projects that the entrepreneurs are developing to be part of this support and professional growth network. This is a co-production between Lagor Services, Efecto Colibrí, and all the women you will hear throughout this conversation. Enjoy the journey.
Be a woman entrepreneur for me is coming back to sisterhood and empowerment each other on daily basis.
Women entrepreneurship, I think for sure is making positive social changes. That's good for not just for women, but for all of men and the whole society.
Being a female entrepreneur to me means putting the soul back into business.
In this episode, we'll talk about women entrepreneurs and about how we, the Break community, are on a mission to co-create an empowering entrepreneurial ecosystem for women all across the European Union. I'm Sarika, and today I'll be talking with fellow entrepreneurs working to bring positive social change in the fields of reproductive health, crowdfunding, and even a delicious drink called Seki.
Hello everyone, my name is Zoya. I am from the Netherlands originally, but currently living in Berlin. And yeah, I cannot wait to hear about your experiences and also share mine.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aga from Poland, and I'm so grateful and so happy to be here with you and can't wait for our discussion.
Hi, everybody. I am Sarika from Japan, and I'm super excited to get to talk to you. Thank you for having us.
I would love to share a little bit more about how I got started at the Break, actually. So basically in Berlin, I'm currently working as head of marketing of co-working space and startup hub Beta House. Yeah, it's a European startup hub there in Berlin, Hamburg, some other places. And I was working there one day, and then Wilhelm Lappe, who is actually a friend of the Break, he came to me and he was like, "Hey, Zoya, you're an entrepreneur, right?" And I was like, "Yes, I guess I am." And he said, "Okay, there's this thing you really have to apply for here. Here's a link, go for it." And I saw it, and it was speaking to women entrepreneurs who have a project they are passionate about, and they feel like they need some space for 1 month to go somewhere, work on their projects, be surrounded by inspiring women. And I don't know, this whole, what I was reading on the website was just amazing. And yeah, I decided to apply. I was a little bit insecure in the beginning about applying because it says that you had to apply with your company or your startup. And since I'm full-time employed for Beta House, I don't have a company on my own. I don't have a startup on my own, but I did have this idea for the project for over 5 years when I started this journey. And it just felt like a moment where everything fell together. And I decided, okay, now is the time to go for it. And I just worked like crazy, like 2 days, 3 nights in a row, just making up a whole plan about my project and applying for the Break. And yeah, it was just an amazing feeling to be able to get selected for this out of so many people that applied and share my values, share my talents with everybody here. And yeah, I've been lucky enough to be sent to Archeda, to Rural, who are the most amazing facilitators I could have imagined for this journey. They've been nothing but supportive. I'm surrounded by really amazing people. And yeah, I just feel like this is such an important experience in my life and also the life of the women I have here around me. What about you girls? Maybe Aga, you want to share something about your experience of the Break?
Yeah, sure, with pleasure. But I need to say that how amazing it is that the Break is calling to the values, and that we are lucky enough to, to meet today and to talk about this experience. Like never I would expect that I can meet people, women who are so similar in values. And I agree, with all the callings that you were just mentioning, Zoya. And I need to say, And this is like my small secret that I will reveal, that when I saw the break, I didn't feel I'm a good match for the break, because, you know, and I feel that this is not only me. This is not only me as a woman who is, you know, having the imposter syndrome or the critic in the head, you know, the one friend who is always there. I feel that there are more women who are there. And when I read all the requirements, I was like, no, my project is not good enough. You know, I will not apply. And then my friend sent the link to me and he said, hey, I totally see you in this, like, apply. I found something extra for you. Hey, take it as a gift. And this was the moment when actually I decided, okay, I will go with the flow and I will apply to this. You know, when the signs are speaking, are calling you, why not to take this adventure? So yeah, I can agree more with all the values what you, Zoya, mentioned, but I'm very much curious in knowing how Sarika got to know the project. Sarika?
Yeah, you know, I've been nodding my head. You can't see me, but I've been nodding my head, Aga, and also Zoya, when you were talking about how you found out and how you felt. So I'm like a mixture of the both of you. I'm in a monthly like a mastermind, female entrepreneurs mastermind. And in that meeting back in, I can't remember when that was, but springtime. And you know what, Aga? I used to live in Warsaw. Yes, I was in Warsaw when the female mastermind of the London School of Economics was happening, and then they shared the break about the break, and it was like, wow, this sounds too good to be true. It's like 1 month away and with like-minded entrepreneurs. So during the mastermind, I already clicked the the link, and I was like, wow, amazing. Because the thing is, I started my company during lockdown. So basically, I've had a lot of kind of networking, but it was all on Zoom. And this is kind of really the first time that we have this really like-minded community in real life, in person.
But this is so nice. We are all, you know, we are more connected than we thought, actually. And this is so great that Sarika and Zoya, you are from November cohort. I was in October, so we can even more share our experience. And this is the great platform to do that.
Yeah, so even though our industries are so different, especially the breakers, I think there's a core kind of value we share, despite the nationality or industry, that we actually want to make things better. And I'm also feeling quite fortunate because in Japan, the entrepreneur scene is really still sad. I think Aga mentioned about the finance available for women, and I think it's true that women are not even seeking funding because they don't even think about it, or of course they're not receiving funding. And in the case of Japan, there's like statistics that show that there's only like 4% for startup investments to companies that are female led. So it's really quite a, I think there's a lot of work to do. I think it's still also not maybe super great in Europe, which is why there's the break. But I think that is a reality that women founders are still pretty disadvantaged. But yeah, coming together like this, I mean, if we can inspire each other, and you know, when there's so many data that shows that when women, well, first of all, half of the population involved in making the place better is a good thing, of course, in terms of there's so much, you know, I mean, it's kind of logical sense that when women are empowered and we participate economically, of course, that's going to be good for the whole society. And by connecting with all of you who have the same, you know, mission of making things better, I think when you have role models, there's more inspiration, and we can also collaborate on things. So I think there's only goodness to come out of linking together with women entrepreneurs. What do you think, Aga?
Yeah, I agree, Sarika, what you have just said. there are so many areas that we can cover in the question about the gender and about women entrepreneurship. And I have this thought in my head all the time. Okay, just to give you the background, a few years ago, I was doing the crowdfunding campaign, which was for women. And I got so much unpleasant, not to call it hate, but unpleasant messages that if only I didn't focus on women, I would have more supporters. Or if only I didn't only support women, maybe I would have more money that is coming into my campaign and so on. And I was like, why in 2020, back then, in 2022, we still need to actually, discuss the gender equality. And this is one thing that I have in my mind, that we are not about comparing, we are not about valuing who is better, who is doing better job, who is more efficient, although there are statistics and some researchers. But I think that the beauty is about synergy, right? The beauty is about connecting and using all the approaches. And this women power, and when we are all together, and when we are in the flow, when we are discussing, when we are brainstorming, you feel you can fly and you feel you can do everything, because especially when you are surrounded by women who started the work with themselves. And I think this might be somehow related to gender, but I don't want to value it. I think that men can do this as well. But this is so popular with us women, that we do work on ourselves, that we do understand ourselves. And when we understand ourselves and when we do the work, we can better work with others, and we can, do more things. And I'm thinking about this, because when you have female entrepreneurs, very naturally, you are going to the sisterhood area, basically. And I was thinking about this before our conversation, and I feel that this is a great responsibility, actually. I'm wondering if you agree with me, Zoya and Sarika. But I feel the responsibility because, this is about being consequent, right? So if we are supporting each other, if we women, we want to make the synergy and to work together, it means that wherever we are doing the conferences, the events, whatsoever, we do support each other. We do call for each other. We do take care that, for example, on the pictures that we have seen recently, from some summits, there are women because we care about it, right? We call each other. So talking about women entrepreneurship, I feel it is self-work, it is, collaboration, but at the same time, it is responsibility. What would you say, Zoya? Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love what you said about sisterhood also. I think the sisterhood and women supporting each other and backing each other up, not putting each other down, but elevating each other is definitely something that, really has shown itself so much during my experience here at the break. And it makes me think a little bit about how I was grown up and my background. And I definitely had a lot of female role models in my life, and definitely a lot of strength seen in women, a lot of power, but also a lot of putting each other down. This is quite a common, a well-known fact, that I guess because there was so little place for women at the top, some women had the feeling that they had to push each other down in order to climb onto the shoulders of the other woman to reach the top, right? And I feel like we're shifting this right now, and programs like The Break, programs like what you're in, Sarika, the masterminds, this is all for women to really start elevating each other. And what I noticed here at the break is, looking back a little bit on the jobs I used to have before, like I used to work in nightlife and festivals and art, also the art industry, and it's quite male dominated. It's very male dominated, and the way they work, it's quite, I wouldn't say, it's quite harsh, insensitive. It's just like, okay, push yourself, go into burnout, And I think that's quite dangerous. And something that I noticed here during my experience at the break, living with 10 women in one house, is, I guess it's also kind of supported by the fact that I'm in Artera with Rural. They take a very sensitive approach. Also the mentors that we have and the facilitators, to give a little example, 2 of the mentors that we had this month were psychomotor therapists who really worked with what's going on inside of us, our energy, our emotions, our I don't know, taking everything into account, a very holistic approach about our background, what we're going through, and taking this into our work ethic also. And I had a very beautiful conversation with my mentor, Thomas, who is a man. And I feel like I'm very happy that I also have his energy around us here during this month, because of course we can learn so much from each other. We can elevate each other also as men and women, you know. And I had a conversation with him about kind of my insecurities and this imposter syndrome, and that I felt a bit insecure comparing myself to the other women around me. So you see, not elevating myself, but kind of comparing myself. And I told him that, yeah, when I look at other people's projects, they're so much further, they have so much more experience. Like I feel so like insecure about my stuff. And he told me like what our value is here is to give you the strength and the knowledge on how to be a leadership of your own emotions, so you can become a leader in your project or in your company, or a leader to others, but through the path of emotion. And I thought that was so beautiful. And I think that the world would just be a slightly better place, sorry for saying it, or not sorry for saying it, if women would have more leadership roles. Because honestly, like, how women lead with so much heart and care, it's just something that we really, really desperately need. Because, I mean, look around you, like everything is so harsh and so intense. And people, like around me, already 5 people have burned out in the last months. I know 5 people personally who have burned out. And it's just, this is not something sustainable anymore. And I feel like we need to put more love into the world. And I think that's going to happen if more women are in leadership positions and following their dreams.
I absolutely agree with you, Zoya. I was nodding away, even if you can't see me. So true. And it's so beautiful about, what you're experiencing. And I also thought maybe I want to add that, well, yes, of course, the leadership. Yes, if we look at, the countries that are women-led, how they did the coronavirus pandemic time, it's pretty clear that it's a warm and effective strategy. But in addition to that, I was just thinking about like the sake world, when women, because actually women were banned from entering the sake breweries for centuries. Yeah, believe it or not, because of multiple reasons, but practical and religious and kind of these reasons. But in recent times, like in the last 40 years, there are women sake brewers. And what I wanted to say is that they're kind of like almost micro entrepreneurs themselves, because it's a family business, and they are brewing super innovative sake, like red sake, like very untraditional sake, and doing all kinds of experiments. So when you have the other half of the population coming in, and when they were not represented, you will have more ideas and more innovation, which is of course better for society, not just for women but also for men. So overall, it should be a win-win situation. What do you think, Aga?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This is so powerful. I feel that in our conversation, we are touching so many different layers and buttons. And when you touch the button, there are, things to be said, and we cannot not say it. I feel that we are in the change. I agree with you, Zoya. You were saying this, that we are doing this shift now. And I strongly believe that if we are consequent, if we are not afraid, or we are afraid, but we are still acting, although we are afraid, which is so difficult, wouldn't you agree? Sometimes when you have this fear of showing up, but actually supporting each other, with this female energy, this is about being seen and see at the same time. And this is about being heard and to hear at the same time. And this is beautiful. And this is amazing, I would say. Yeah. And I so love the words that you said about leadership, because when I'm thinking about this word, this is, the word maybe is quite difficult when you hear it, but if we demystify it and, we start with ourselves, and we actually, we are fine with who we are, and we know what we want and which values we are following. I agree with Zoya that we can change the world. And I agree with Sarika that we can influence and impact so much and be innovative, because only when we are secured and safe, we can actually unleash our innovation soul. right? Would you agree?
Yeah, regarding the whole innovation topic, I definitely feel like we are in a very at the foot of a shift, kind of a paradigm shift in how people see the world, how people see leadership, and I see it within my own project. My topic is, of course, fertility, and I focus mainly on women or people with cyclical bodies, people with wombs, and I don't know, it's definitely a very big shift. If you look at how my mother was raised, for instance, she was raised in the Soviet Union, so that's definitely something where not a lot of people were talking about this or seeing options. I also talked to some ladies here at the break, which was very helpful for my project, actually. I interviewed a lot of the women here who have very different backgrounds, different ages, different methods. And what I found out is that how fertility has been seen 30 years ago, 40 years ago is so different than now. And I think this is kind of going hand in hand with also how we see leadership, how we see women as individuals, that we have a voice, that we have power. And I think that's definitely shining through in fertility awareness as well. And I even feel like men are also getting more on board and more supportive in this, at least the men around me, which I'm very happy for. But yeah, I guess this is a beginning of a very good movement in a positive and more equal direction. Yeah.
Maybe I'll chip in just one thing. Yes, Zoya, exactly like you're saying. I do think there is finally a change happening. So as I mentioned, sorry to keep referring to sake, but that's what I know. Yeah, so I see in the sake industry for sure. I mean, like 40 years ago, it's almost incredible to, I mean, kind of imagine that women were banned, and now women are doing so many amazing things in the sake world, so as brewers, as educators. And I actually have it's a non-profit project called Women in Sake. So like Zoya was saying, you were interviewing people, so I actually interview women in the sake industry to highlight and kind of their contribution and achievement in the world of sake. And it's been such an amazing conversation. And when Zoya mentioned that there's a change happening, I definitely feel that's for sure happening, even in such a traditional 2,000-year-old sake industry.
The name of my project is at the moment Moontime. Unlike most people in my group here at the break, my project is still in the idea phase, so quite unmature, but nevertheless very passionate. It started 5 years ago when I was 20 years old as a personal journey when I decided to get off hormonal birth control, because I was on it for 7 years and I felt the effects it had on my body, on my mental health. I talked with a lot of my girlfriends who also had the same experiences, and I decided to get off hormonal birth control. And I decided to take self-exploration, self-education journey around the topic of fertility awareness methods, which is a method you can use to track your cycle and, in my case, avoid pregnancy, also achieve pregnancy, in a natural way by using your own body literacy. So the temperature that your body has while it's sleeping and a few other indicators of your body. And my project is to spread that with not only women, but all people with cyclical bodies, to empower everyone, getting more knowledge within your body and getting off hormonal birth control with confidence, because I feel like there's a lot of stigma around it, a lot of fear, and I want to get away from that. So yeah, that's going to be my project. How about you, Aga?
Wow, amazing project, Zoya. On daily basis, I empower women in doing their crowdfunding campaigns. And what I really like about my project, which used to be named A Woman from the Crowd, which used to be named a Spark, which now supposedly will be named She Crowdfunds, but this is not the end. So I am in the process of brainstorming and basically searching for the spark which will make me alive with my project and very well connected. And what I love about this is that this is not only about the money. So we are not looking at crowdfunding. I am not looking at crowdfunding as only a goal to raise money, but as a project that gives you much more. The validation of your idea, the validation of your project, the project management itself, the actual adventure that is saying out loud about your project and actually gaining people who will trust and believe in you when only you are authentic, when you show up and you say. And this made me very sad a few years ago when I discovered that we women, we are only few percent of successful crowdfunding campaigns. And this is not only in crowdfunding. This is, of course, in most financial markets, I would say, including venture capitals, the companies being financially funded by venture capitals and female-led startups. This is everywhere. And what I do, I empower women so that they believe and they grow. And once they are successful, the part of the money they raise is coming back to the fund that I am creating so that we can share more. So this is how we hopefully share love as well. And this is about my project and hopefully the bright future. What about you, Sarika? What is your project about?
Well, I love your project, Aga and Zoya. I'm the founder of Sarika International Limited in Ireland. And my mission, I'm in a super niche area. My mission is to help people fall in love with Japanese sake. Well, the reason is that, actually, this is a complete career change for me because my background was in the United Nations. I was working in Kenya, Thailand, Vietnam on actually urban development and gender, women's empowerment. But just by total chance, you never know what happens in life. Back a while ago, I had the most delicious sake in my life. And I was blown away because, my ancestral village in Japan is actually a very big sake production site. And somehow I never liked sake, but after drinking this amazing one sip, I actually learned that our 2,000-year-old sake is in a serious decline. I mean, serious decline meaning sake breweries are going bankrupt every month in my local area, in my ancestral village. And I didn't know anything about this. And like the more I kind of by hobby I started as a hobby, of course. I never thought I would start a company about this. But yes, so my mission is that I really would love to spread the beauty of sake to the world so the sake industry does not decline any further. And of course, in this process, from my background, I of course want to focus on sustainable breweries and women in sake, which is a minority, as you can imagine. Because Japan, as you may know, we are really low in terms of the global gender equality index. We are like the bottom. We are like the really bottom in the so-called developed world. Really, I'm talking about like year 2022. We are, I think, 116 out of 146. That's how bad we are. So, I mean, this is in general in society. So you can imagine how a sake, which is a traditionally, it's changing, but it's traditionally a male dominated industry. So there's lots that we can do to revive sake through women brewers and women's ideas. So that's me, and thank you for having us.
So, ladies, I'm wondering if you have any opinions regarding how companies would look if women were leading it. So female founders, if they have a different approach to innovation of the company, just different approaches in leadership. Because for me personally, like when I did some research about fertility companies, which is like, it quite shocked me, to be frank, I researched a bunch of femtech products. So for instance, these are wearables that I'm personally using, like one is Temp Drop that you can use around your arm while you're sleeping, that records your lowest basal body temperature, which is one of your fertility indicators. Then there is multiple other products that you can use, like saliva trackers, urine trackers, everything you can track for your overall health as well. And I noticed that all of these companies, besides one, I think, is founded by men or by a husband and his wife. Or, and then I'm already thinking like, was this the wife's idea and they made it like husband and wife founding it so they would get more funding, or what's happening here? And also very interesting that most period tracker apps are also founded by men. And yeah, in the last, what happened now in the US with the whole Roe versus Wade abortion law that they changed, they just went full in on these period tracking apps and these fertility tracker wearables and femtech products to take out the data of this, to track if women could have possibly had an abortion or not. And also, being a user of these type of products myself, I have every period app on my phone that there's out there, just so I can check how it works, see what could be improved. I'm also having a lot of different wearables, femtech wearables, to try out in my fertility awareness method journey. And what I noticed there is how not easy to use it is, and how it really feels like it's been made by a man. Because I feel like if it's a product for women, why is a woman not making it? Of course, men can support that, but I just notice how much issues I'm having with all these products that are obviously made by men. And I think that's just such an interesting fact. And that's why I want to make a change in this area as well, being a woman who found something for women and for people like me and people around me. And I'm wondering if you're having the same type of experiences, Aga, with your sector that you're working in. How is it with men founding this and the balance between that?
Thank you for saying this, because basically it's, when we are talking, different examples are coming to my mind as exactly as yours. And I don't remember the exact stories, but I do remember the research about, the inventions not matching for women, although being for women, because as simple as that, women were not asked. And it also brings me back, to some situation in crowdfunding. I'm always the one who is saying, this is not my invention, but I took it from my friend who is teaching like how to sell things. And I'm always saying in crowdfunding, like, hey, crowdfunding campaign is not about you. Crowdfunding campaign is about your supporters. They are the most important. Okay, fine, you are doing the project, but you are raising money. So who is paying? You are not paying yourself, right? And then we have very easy solution that we can ask people, and very often it is like something surprising that, wow, seriously, we can ask people. So why don't we ask women when we do things for women? This is so obvious. But at the same time, I have so mixed feelings, because I'm proud that we are part of community. We are supporting each other. We feel the power. We want to change things. And at the same time, I'm so angry that we have to spend time thinking about how we can actually be seen in the industry, how we can actually, be there, speak for ourselves, or answer questions, or invent things. Like it shouldn't be even a question, right? It should be obvious. What's your experience, Sarika? You are saying a lot about sake already, but yeah, but this is so like, this is generally brewers. Actually, brewers are amazing topics for crowdfunding. And yes, I'm not surprised that women were not there.
Yes, that's right. I would love to start my sake brewery in Ireland. I already I already bought my domain. And actually crowdfunding was one of my ideas. But yeah, going back to kind of user friendliness, maybe I would share this year that, okay, it's not sake for a change. It's wine. So I was very lucky to be a judge at a wine competition, which is only one in the world where all are female judges. It's really interesting idea. It's called Feminalise in Paris. I was just super impressed that I really felt like, even though, there's nothing like that in the sake world, by the way. There's no woman only judge competition, but this was really for me quite eye-opening, that wow, that actually because of the economic purchase power of women in France for wine industry, that women are such a powerful actor in the French wine industry, whereas that's not the case in Japan. So it really made me think a lot about things. But yes, I don't think I'm answering your question, but I just wanted to share how, sometimes where you have an event with women in mind, it actually makes a lot of sense. And yes, I'm ready to go back to that competition again.
Sarika, can you please let me know later where I can apply to be a judge on this wine tasting festival?
Oh, yeah. It's April next year again.
Perfect.
It's April every year.
I'm applying.
in France.
Me as well. Yeah. You know what? When we are talking now, discussing all these important matters, being female entrepreneurs and supporting each other, listening to you, Zoya and Sarika, and your powerful statements. And all the time I have this thinking in my head going on, and I need to share with you one thing that came out from the break experience that I was part of in October. For everyone who's listening to us and you might not be familiar, is that during the break, you not only work on your project, but you also work on some challenges given to you by the host organization. So in Petrer, where I was, we had the challenges that we were working on, and the energy that we created during the brainstorming and during the working together, of 12 women with the same vision and the values that we were sharing, but with different experience, was so powerful that we decided to continue, and we called ourselves Femion. And we are the think tank. We want to make an impact and we want to make a change.
Yeah, absolutely, Aga. To me, it's like a 180 degrees change where I have to make the decision by myself because it's only me. And yes, it's really quite a difficult journey. So to be in company of people like you and who get it is really vital, like psychologically, emotionally, such a support. And also, for sure, I think we can impact the next generations around us, because I know my daughter who sees me doing this will, for sure, I hope, be inspired that she can also, do anything she wants to if she puts her mind into it. So yeah, no, I absolutely agree with what you were saying. And what about you, Zoya?
Wow, Sarika, that's really beautiful to hear what you have to say about the next generations. I really agree. I personally don't have daughters, but if I would have, I would definitely have a lot of confidence in how their journey would be as well, because I feel like we're going into a very good direction. And yeah, I think the break has been, what you said, also a ripple effect. I think this is definitely first of many, and I think already experiencing here in my group this month how we came together. One of the women in my group, Kylie, she has a farm in Ireland, and she was already like, okay, we're gonna do a sort of rural experience or the break over there with women here, and it's just how it happens. One big idea, something like this, to kick it off, and then each and every one of us that was a part of the break will start their own projects and their own journeys.
For sure, we can impact the entire world. I mean, it's like a ripple effect. I mean, from our, immediate community, and it impacts everything. Of course, entrepreneurship is really difficult. I mean, to me, at least, it's been a super uphill journey because, I was originally in the world's biggest bureaucracy.
I have sent out the break as a program to so many of my friends, and they're sending it to their friends, and we're talking about it. And I think this is just influencing so many people starting around us. And yeah, I'm very, very, very excited to what the future holds for each one of us. Definitely.
I very much believe that by being consequent and, by empowering, but not by comparing ourselves and not by valuing that we are better, someone else is better, just being consequent in our actions and empower each other at the same time, not forgetting about ourselves, we can seriously impact not only our community, but the world. And I don't think it is too much by saying that we can impact the entire world. Yeah.
Thank you for listening. We hope this podcast will inspire all women who want to be an entrepreneur and become part of the Break community. You can find all the information about us and our projects, and all the episodes of the Break podcast will be featured on efectocolibrí.com and lagorservices.com. Bye!